Why do some individuals shatter barriers and achieve what seems impossible while others drift aimlessly through life? It's not intelligence, resources, or even opportunity, it's focus. The laser-sharp ability to zero in on what truly matters, ignoring the noise, the distractions, and the endless temptations that pull us in every direction. In a world designed to scatter your attention, maintaining focus isn't just a skill, it's your greatest weapon. And yes, it's challenging, especially when everything around you screams for your time. But that's precisely why you must cultivate it deliberately, turning it into an unbreakable habit. If you're tired of feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled, let's embark on this path together, right here, right now. Have you ever noticed how the most accomplished people seem to operate on a different wavelength? They aren't superhuman, they've simply mastered the art of focus. Not the fleeting kind that comes with a deadline, but a deep, sustained concentration that doesn't waver with moods or circumstances. I once believed focus was about working harder, but it's actually about working smarter, eliminating what doesn't serve your goals. Distractions aren't just annoyances, they're thieves robbing you of your potential. The ping of a notification, the lure of endless scrolling, the pull of unnecessary conversations, they all chip away at your energy. But when you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your life. Focus begins with clarity. Without a clear vision, your mind wanders like a ship without a rudder. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Not what society expects, not what others demand, but what sets your soul on fire. Write it down, make it specific, then align every action with that vision, ruthlessly cut out the rest. I learned this the hard way, jumping from one idea to another, never finishing anything. But once I committed to one path, progress exploded. Focus isn't restriction, it's liberation from the chaos that holds you back. Of course, building focus means battling distraction head-on. Your brain craves novelty, but novelty often leads to nowhere. Start by auditing your day. Where does your time vanish? Track it honestly, and you'll be shocked. Then, create boundaries. Designate sacred times for deep work. No emails, no social media, no interruptions. Use tools like timers or apps if needed, but remember, the real power comes from within. Train your mind like a muscle. Start with 25 minutes of undivided attention, then build from there. Each session strengthens your resolve. And let's address the elephant in the room, multitasking. It's a myth. Science shows it fragments your brain, reducing efficiency by up to 40%. Focus on one thing at a time. Do it well, then move on. You'll accomplish more in less time with higher quality. I've seen entrepreneurs fail because they chased too many shiny objects, while those who honed in on one core idea built empires. Focus compounds. It turns ordinary efforts into extraordinary results. But focus isn't just about productivity, it's about presence. In relationships, in hobbies, in self-care, being fully there amplifies joy and connection. When you're scattered, life passes in a blur. When focused, every moment counts. Practice mindfulness. Breathe deeply. Ground yourself in the now. Over time, this spills into all areas, creating a calmer, more purposeful existence. There will be days when focus falters. Fatigue, stress, doubt creep in. That's normal. Don't beat yourself up. Gently redirect. Remember why you started. Visualize the end, the freedom, the achievement, the pride. Focus isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily recommitment. And as you persist, it becomes effortless, like breathing. In the end, focus is the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. It doesn't require genius. It requires discipline. Start small today. Choose one task. Give it your all. Tomorrow, do it again. Soon, you'll look back and marvel at how far you've come. You have the power. Harness it. The focused life isn't just successful, it's deeply fulfilling. Believe in your ability to tune out the noise and tune into your potential. The world is waiting for what only you can create. My friend, let me ask you a simple yet profound question. What do you believe separates those who live with purpose from those who merely exist? Is it luck, talent, or circumstances? I've observed, reflected, and lived long enough to realize it's none of those. The true difference lies in one thing: unyielding focus. Focus is the bridge between dreams and reality. It's not an innate trait, it's a habit forged day by day, hour by hour, even in your most exhausted, directionless, or unmotivated moments. Have you ever promised yourself, "I'll focus tomorrow," only to come up with an excuse when tomorrow arrived? You're not alone. Most of us have been there. But here's the truth. Every time you break a promise to focus on yourself, you chip away at the most important trust you'll ever need: the trust in yourself. Focus isn't restriction. It's not the removal of freedom. In fact, focus is the foundation of freedom. When you gain control over your attention, you stop being a slave to emotions, to circumstances, to delay. You become the master. And that feeling, that deep, steady sense of being in control of your life, is one of the most powerful and peaceful states a person can experience. So where does focus begin? With the smallest acts. Don't wait for a grand surge of motivation. Make your bed in the morning. Drink a glass of water. Get up when the alarm rings without hitting snooze. These seemingly trivial actions are the first bricks in building a solid foundation of focus. Focus doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from commitment. Commitment to directing your attention to what you said you'd do, regardless of your mood. Commitment to showing up for yourself, even on your darkest days. It's not about forcing yourself. It's about choosing to stand beside the best version of who you can become. And then something remarkable happens. The more you keep your word to yourself by staying focused, the more you begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes the fuel that feeds your persistence, and that persistence is what takes you further than talent or luck ever could. When you train focus, you also develop a form of invisible power, mental strength. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, but it holds you steady when everything around you is shaking. It carries you forward when others have already given up. It's the inner flame, small but unwavering, that lights your entire path forward. Mental strength doesn't come from never failing. It comes from not letting failure define who you are. You fall and you rise. You're tired, but you move anyway. Each time you forge a stronger armor, more resilient, more grounded than before. Understand this. Focused people aren't that way because they always want to take action. They're focused because they decided to act before emotions had a chance to interfere. They don't wait to feel like it. They follow one principle: I do this because I chose this path. Don't confuse focus with harshness. Training focus doesn't mean abandoning joy or living a rigid life. On the contrary, focus gives birth to a deeper, longer-lasting joy, the kind that comes from knowing you're progressing, growing, and mastering yourself. Maybe today you only wrote a few lines, worked out for 15 minutes, or learned a single new thing. But if you do that every day with unwavering focus, you will no longer be the same person. You are shaping a new identity, steadfast, solid, unshaken by temptation or disappointment. And here's the secret I want you to never forget. Intentional repetition creates greatness through focus, not a single explosive effort, not short-lived glory, but quiet, steady, conscious, purposeful repetition. That is the true foundation of lasting success. You don't have to be superhuman. You just have to be the one who shows up every day, who keeps your promises even when tired, discouraged, or still waiting on results. Because results don't come overnight, but they always come to those who do not quit. Start today. Don't try to do everything. Just choose one small action. Do it every day and treat it like a sacred commitment. Soon, focus will no longer be something you struggle to maintain. It will become part of who you are. And when that happens, nothing will be able to stop you. Not because you're never afraid, but because you act even in fear. Not because you're always strong, but because you refuse to let weakness make decisions for you. My friend, let today's action be a declaration of a new future. Let focus be the gift you give yourself. Let each day be living proof that you no longer live by fleeting emotions, but by a clear and powerful long-term vision. I believe in you, not because I'm blandly optimistic, but because I've seen people like you step by step, day by day, build what once seemed impossible. And now it's your turn. There's an invisible enemy that always shows up the moment you decide to begin. Just as you sit down to write, start exercising, or change an old habit, it appears, quiet, persistent, relentless. It doesn't arrive with a fierce face, but with familiar whispers. You can do it later. You're tired today. Start fresh tomorrow. Don't push too hard. Skipping one day won't hurt. I call it distraction. Distraction is not an event. It's an energy, a force that rises every time you attempt something meaningful. And here's what you need to know. Distraction never truly goes away, but you can outmaneuver it and win every single day by sharpening your focus. My friend, I'm not telling you a fairy tale about unbreakable willpower. I'm sharing a truth that anyone striving for something better has faced. Distraction is part of the mind. It's not your enemy unless you allow it to take control. Distraction feeds on delay, fear, and lack of clarity. The more vague your goals are, the more mentally drained you feel, the easier it is for distraction to pull you under. So the first step to beating distraction is not trying harder. It's making your goals clearer, more specific, and simpler. Don't write, "I need to write a chapter today." Write, "I will write 500 words from 8 to 9 a.m. Don't say, "I'll exercise." Say, "I'll walk for 20 minutes right after breakfast." The more specific you are, the less space distraction has to thrive. Next, lower the starting threshold as much as possible. Distraction is strongest when you're still thinking, but it begins to lose power the moment you take action. Tell yourself, "I'll just do this for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes." But those 5 minutes are your first sword against inertia. Sometimes simply starting is the biggest win of the day. And once you begin, you usually go farther than you thought. Action is the most powerful antidote to distraction. Distraction also loves to deceive you. It makes you believe you have to wait until you feel ready. But remember this, you will never feel fully ready. Emotions fluctuate, commitment does not. Anchor yourself to commitment, not to your mood. Also understand that distraction is clever. It doesn't just hold you back with laziness, it disguises itself in logic. You should research more before you begin. Read a bit more first. Study just a little longer before taking action. But if you look closer, you'll see it's just fear wearing the mask of knowledge. The only way to break this cycle is to start imperfectly. Let action lead. Learn along the way. Adjust as needed. But don't wait for the fog to clear, because that moment never comes. Another critical strategy is identifying your personal distraction patterns. Observe yourself. What time of day do you tend to quit? What task usually triggers distractions? Who or what tends to derail your focus? Write down these weak points and create counter strategy. If you're often distracted at home, change your environment. If you scroll your phone every morning, leave it in another room overnight. Every barrier you remove brings you one step closer to unyielding focus. Don't forget the power of emotional cues. Before you start your task each day, ask yourself, how will I feel once this is done? Connect action to the feeling of completion, because the brain seeks pleasure and you're using that very instinct to move yourself forward. There will be days when nothing feels like it's working. Distraction will feel like a heavy fog over your thoughts. On those days, hold to a single rule. Just don't quit. You may do less than usual, you may only complete part of the task, but your presence is already a victory. Every time you take even one small step through distraction, you reinforce inner trust. My friend, remember, you're not alone in this fight. Even the most exceptional people face distraction every single day. The difference is they don't let it rule them. They recognize it, they feel it, and they move through it bit by bit with relentless determination. Don't wait for a day without distraction. Become the person distraction cannot break. The more you act despite it, the closer you move toward real freedom, the kind that liberates you from the very barriers your own mind has created. And one day, as you look back on your journey, you may not remember every small victory, but you will remember that you never stopped. That will be the moment you realize you didn't just defeat distraction, you defeated your former self and rose into someone stronger. When people witness someone achieving remarkable success, they often ask, "What's your secret?" They talk about habits, about systems, about the small, repetitive things they do every day, often boring, often unnoticed, but quietly responsible for lifting them to the top. If you want to change your life, don't start with grand plans or lofty goals. Start with a small action repeated daily until it becomes second nature. When you build the right habits, you no longer need to fight yourself every day. You simply move in rhythm. Habits are choices you once made, but have since programmed into instinct. You don't need to think about brushing your teeth every morning. You don't have to consciously decide to fasten your seatbelt. And if you build the right habits, your progress will become just as natural. But here's something you must understand. Willpower alone is not enough. Willpower is the fuel to get started, but systems are the tracks that keep you on course. This is where you need to design a solid system of action, a system that doesn't depend on emotion or motivation, but operates as a personal commitment. It's this simple. Want to read more? Your system is reading 10 pages each morning before checking your phone. Want to write a book? Your system is writing for 30 minutes every day at a fixed time. I'm not asking if you're motivated. I'm asking what system have you set up to protect what you're pursuing? Someone without a system, no matter how strong their start, is likely to fall off track within days. But someone with a system, even if they move slowly, always returns to the rhythm, and that's who ultimately wins. You may think a system will confine you, but the truth is a system gives you freedom. When you no longer need to make a decision each day, you can conserve willpower and energy for more important matters. A system turns things I should do into things that simply happen, and you stop wrestling with yourself every time distraction shows up. A writer doesn't always feel inspired, but if they write at the same hour each day, the manuscript gets done. An athlete doesn't always feel energized, but if they train according to a consistent schedule, they maintain their form. Stability comes from systems, not from fleeting inspiration. So, how do you build a system that works for you? First, start simple. Don't try to build 5 or 10 new habits at once. Choose one thing and make it an essential part of your daily routine. Once it becomes automatic, add the next layer. Second, attach the new habit to an existing one. For example, after I make my morning coffee, I'll write 3 ideas in my notebook. This is called habit stacking. Your brain begins to accept this as a sequence, and you no longer need effort to remember or force yourself to do it. Third, design your system to be fail-proof. If you want to run, but the weather often derails you, have a backup plan. Indoor workouts, jump rope, or quick bodyweight exercises. Don't let predictable obstacles break your rhythm. Fourth, always track your progress. A marked-up calendar, a habit tracking app, or a simple journal noting your efforts. All of these keep your motivation alive. When you see your streak building, you won't want to break it. And finally, never underestimate the power of repetition. At first, you have to remind yourself constantly. After a month, it becomes easier. After 3 months, you'll feel something's missing if you skip it. After a year, people will ask, "How do you stay so consistent?" And your answer won't be, "I have strong willpower," or "I'm extremely disciplined." Your answer will be, "I have a system. I have habits." Systems don't just help you maintain, they help you grow beyond expectations. When you no longer waste energy on starting, you can invest all your focus into evolving. Every day, you only need to do one thing well, but do it right, consistently, and without interruption. And you'll be amazed when you look back on the road you've covered. My friend, you don't need superpowers to change your life. You only need to understand that success doesn't come from one heroic act. It comes from thousands of small, repeated actions no one else sees. And those actions are habits. Those habits are nurtured and protected by systems. And systems, quiet but unwavering, are the pathway to any peak you choose to climb. I want you to picture this. You're standing on a long road with tempting turnoffs on either side. One path invites you to rest, another encourages you to quit. And the only road that leads to success has no flashy signs, no cheering crowd, and no immediate rewards. It only offers one thing: relentless repetition day after day. I'm telling you this because somewhere inside you, there was a moment when you gave up on a goal, left unfinished, a dream never reached, a once exciting plan now covered in dust. But here's what you need to know. You're not lacking in ability. You're lacking belief in continuation. And today, I want to help you reclaim that. Because the person who never gives up isn't the strongest, isn't the smartest. It's the one who endures. The person who never gives up understands that success is the reward for persistence, not perfection. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for inspiration. They don't wait to have all the answers. They simply continue. And one day, they surpass everyone who started faster, who seemed more talented, who once looked more promising. If you want to become that person, you must change how you face adversity. Most people, when challenges arise, retreat and wait for things to get easier. But those who endure keep moving forward despite fear, fatigue, or a lack of motivation. They understand one simple truth: the only way out is through. Quitting brings temporary comfort, but leaves long-term scars. Regret from not holding on will quietly haunt you every time you see someone succeed at what you once began. On the other hand, every time you choose to continue, even by a single step, you build inner resilience. You're proving to yourself, I am someone who follows through. So, how do you cultivate the spirit of never giving up? First, eliminate the mindset of, I'll just try and see. When you say try, you've already allowed yourself the option to quit. People who never give up don't try, they commit. They declare to themselves, I will do this no matter what happens. Second, accept that boredom and difficulty are part of the journey. There will be days when you feel like doing nothing, days when progress seems invisible. But those are the moments when consistency matters most, because it's in those moments that character is forged. Successful people aren't always motivated. They just do the work regardless of how they feel. And by continuing to act, they gradually regain momentum and turn it into powerful growth. Third, learn to stay connected to the process rather than obsessing over the result. When all you see is the finish line, you'll easily grow discouraged if results don't show. But if you learn to appreciate the journey, every small step, every quiet effort, you won't need a reason to keep going. The act itself, the progress itself, becomes the reward. Those who never give up also know how to actively replenish their energy. They rest when needed, but they never abandon the path. They give themselves space to recover, not to surrender. They understand rest is not failure, it's part of the strategy of persistence. And most importantly, they build a new identity. Don't just say, I'll try not to quit. Say, I am the kind of person who never quits. From there, all your behaviors begin to align with that identity. You start to act like someone who is resilient. And with each consistent action, each day, your belief in yourself becomes unshakable. Remember, you don't need to win every day, but you do need to show up every day. You don't need to always move fast, but you do need to move forward just a little every time without stopping. The person who never gives up is the one who tries again the 100th time without bitterness over the 99 that failed. They aren't broken by failure, they are strengthened by it. They don't see mistakes as the end, but as the raw material of growth. You can be that person, truly. You don't need more talent. You don't need to be extraordinary. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to keep going. Stay in the game. Don't walk away just because the results haven't shown up yet, because results are only given to those still standing when the last applause rings out. I don't know what you've abandoned in your past, but I do know this. If you choose to continue today, that past has no power over your future. And if you're still here, still listening to these words, you still have one thing left, a chance to become the person who never gives up. Will you be that person?